The stars looked different from the observation deck of the massive alien vessel. Frank Miller stood in silence, his diplomatic uniform feeling too tight around his neck as he stared at the creature before him. The alien called itself HFY, a representative of something called the Galactic Council. "Humans have shown remarkable progress," HFY said, its voice translated through a small device on Frank's collar. "Your faster-than-light drive is crude, but functional. The Council believes your species is ready to join galactic society." Frank nodded, trying to hide his amazement. Just 3 years ago, humans had achieved their first successful FTL jump. Now, aliens were inviting Earth to join their club. "We are honored," Frank said carefully. "But what exactly does membership in this council mean for Earth?" The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Protection. Trade. Knowledge. The Council has maintained peace among 32 species for over 4,000 years." Behind Frank, Dr. Lisa Brown was busy scanning everything with her devices. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had been chosen to provide scientific expertise during this historic meeting. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours," she whispered to Frank. "Maybe millennia." The meeting lasted hours. HFY explained the structure of the Council, the rules member species had to follow, and the benefits they would receive. Frank listened carefully, noting the restrictions on expansion and military development. Something felt off, but he couldn't pinpoint what. When they returned to Earth, the news of alien contact spread rapidly. People celebrated in the streets, terrified but excited about humanity's new place in the galaxy. World leaders gathered at the United Nations to discuss the Council's invitation. "They're offering us the stars," said the Secretary General. "But at what cost?" Frank presented his report. "The Council seems benevolent, but cautious. They have strict rules about how quickly we can expand to new worlds and what kinds of weapons we can develop." Dr. Brown showed her findings. "Their technology is amazing, but they're only willing to share certain parts of it. When I asked about their energy systems, they changed the subject." For weeks, Earth debated. Some wanted to reject the Council's terms and develop on their own. Others feared doing so would make humanity a target. In the end, pragmatism won out. 6 months later, Frank found himself on the Council homeworld, a massive artificial structure orbiting a dying star. The Council chamber held representatives from dozens of species, each stranger than the last. "We welcome our human brothers and sisters to the galactic community," announced the Grand Minister, a tall crystalline being named Ulvdrak. "They join us as a provisional member, as is customary for new species." Frank signed the agreement while cameras from Earth broadcast the moment to billions of humans. His hand shook slightly as he wrote his name, committing humanity to the Council's rules. Later, at the reception, Frank overheard 2 Council members speaking. His translator picked up their words. "Another manageable species," one said. "They seem more aggressive than most, but they'll learn their place. The restrictions will keep them contained," the other replied. "Like all the junior members, they'll be dependent on core world technology within a generation." Frank pretended not to hear, but his smile became fixed. As he sipped the alien drink, he made eye contact with Dr. Brown across the room. Her expression told him she'd heard something similar. On the flight back to Earth, they discussed their concerns privately. "They see us as children," Frank said, "or pets." Dr. Brown nodded. "Did you notice how the older members treat the newer species? There's a clear hierarchy." "We should be careful," Frank said, looking out at the stars. "The Council offered us the galaxy, but only the parts they don't want." "So what do we do?" she asked. Frank watched as Earth came into view, blue and beautiful. "We play by their rules. For now, we learn everything we can, and we prepare for a time when we might need to stand on our own." "You think it will come to that?" Frank thought about the dismissive way the Council members had spoken. "I hope not. But something tells me the Council isn't used to humans." 5 years passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. Humans spread to 3 colony worlds and established trading posts near busy space lanes. Council technology improved Earth's standard of living, but not as much as people had hoped. Jack Ryan wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the alien engine. As the lead engineer at the new Mars shipyard, he had spent months studying Council technology. "This makes no sense," he muttered. His assistant looked up. "What's wrong?" Jack pointed to the power coupling. "The design is inefficient. It's like they deliberately made it this way." After weeks of tests, Jack confirmed his suspicions. Council technology was intentionally limited. When he built his own version that was 30% more efficient, he showed it to his boss. "Keep this quiet," his boss warned. "The Council doesn't like when member species modify their designs." On the Council homeworld, diplomat Susan Clark sat through another boring trade meeting. 5 years of service had taught her to smile politely while Council representatives talked down to humans. After the meeting, Susan walked through the Grand Archives, a privilege rarely granted to junior species. She had secretly installed a small data reader in her bracelet, not exactly forbidden, but not exactly allowed either. She downloaded records of trade agreements from the past century. What she found disturbed her. Every new species followed the same pattern. Initial growth, then economic dependence on core Council worlds, then stagnation. Susan met Jack at a secure location on Earth the next month. They compared notes in Vice Admiral Peter Grant's office. "They're keeping us dependent," Jack explained, showing diagrams of the modified engines. "I found similar limitations in every piece of Council tech we've been given." Susan nodded. "The trade agreements confirm it. Junior species provide raw materials and simple goods. Core worlds sell advanced technology at high prices. They're not partners, they're masters." Admiral Grant stroked his gray beard. "How long before they notice your improvements, Jack?" "They already have. I received a formal complaint about unauthorized modifications last week." Grant looked out the window at Washington, D.C. "We need to be careful. The Council outguns us 1,000 to 1. President Martinez needs to know, but we can't appear hostile." On the Council homeworld, Grand Minister Ulvdrak called a private meeting of the Inner Circle. "The human problem grows. The crystalline being announced. They modify our technology. They form independent trade partnerships with frontier worlds. They ask too many questions." Krelox, head of Council Intelligence, displayed images of human colonies. "They expand faster than projected. Their population on New Mars has tripled in 2 years." "Perhaps we were too lenient," said another minister. "Humans lack the patience of proper civilized species." "They will learn," Ulvdrak said. "All species do, eventually." Back on Earth, President Olivia Martinez read the report from Susan and Jack with a troubled expression. "What do you recommend?" she asked Admiral Grant. "Patience and preparation, Madam President. We continue to appear cooperative while developing our own technology in secret. We're not ready for confrontation." The President nodded. "How many other species have tried to break free of Council control?" 3 in the last 1,000 years, Susan said. "All failed. The Council isolated them economically, then militarily. Eventually, they surrendered and accepted even stricter controls. But none of those species were human," Jack added. Martinez stood and walked to the map of human territory, tiny compared to the vast Council space. "The Council thinks we're just another obedient species to add to their collection. They don't understand humans very well, do they?" "No, Madam President," Admiral Grant said. "And that might be our only advantage." On the edge of human space, a Council inspection vessel arrived at a small research station. The alien inspector demanded to see all technology on the base. The human director smiled politely. "Of course. Right this way." Behind his desk, a secure computer contained the plans for fully human-designed ships. No Council technology at all. As he led the inspector away, he tapped a hidden button, sending the plans to Earth through a channel the Council couldn't monitor. The game had begun. 15 years had passed since humans joined the Council. Unlike other junior species, humans had not settled into their assigned role. They had 26 colonies now spread across Council space and hundreds of trading posts. Human ships were everywhere, carrying goods between systems that had never traded directly before. President Olivia Martinez stood before the World Council on Earth. Gray touched her hair now, but her eyes remained sharp and determined. The Council has rejected our reform proposals, she announced. All of them. The room filled with angry voices. Earth's representatives had spent 2 years drafting fair changes to Council economic policies. They had gathered support from other junior species and even some mid-tier Council members. There's more, she continued when the noise died down. They have issued an ultimatum. The large screen behind her displayed the Council's demands. Humans must close half their colonies. All human ships must carry Council observers. Earth must accept Council control of all new technology development. They want to put us in our place, Admiral Grant said. His uniform now carried the stars of a full admiral. They've never faced a species that expanded so quickly or asked so many questions. In the Council chambers, Grand Minister Ulvdrak addressed the full assembly. Most of the 300 representatives looked concerned. Humans disrupt the balance we have maintained for thousands of years, the crystalline being declared. They modify our technology without permission. They encourage other species to demand changes to our sacred traditions. Krelox, the intelligence officer, showed evidence of human ships meeting secretly with representatives from other junior species. They spread dangerous ideas, he warned. Ideas of independence and self-governance. A representative from a frontier world stood up. Perhaps we should consider some of their proposed changes. Many younger species find merit in. Silence. Ulvdrak's voice boomed across the chamber. The Council has spoken. Humans will comply with our demands or face sanctions. The vote was not unanimous, but the majority supported the ultimatum. Council enforcers prepared their ships to ensure human compliance. On Earth, President Martinez called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all human colonies attended virtually. Jack Ryan and Susan Clark presented their findings from years of research. The Council has deliberately held back thousands of species for millennia. Susan explained. They don't want partners. They want servants. Jack showed designs for new ships and technology developed in secret labs across human space. We've made our own FTL drives now. Better than theirs. We don't need their tech anymore. But we need their permission to exist in their space, said the governor of New Mars. They can crush us militarily. Admiral Grant shook his head. Their military is big but stagnant. They haven't fought a real war in 2,000 years, and they've never fought humans. President Martinez raised her hand for quiet. We have 3 options: submit to their demands and lose our independence forever, fight a war we might not win, or leave Council space entirely. Shocked silence followed her last suggestion. Leave? Where would we go? Someone asked. Jack Ryan stepped forward. Beyond the outer rim. Our new drives can take us farther than Council ships can follow. We've detected suitable star systems. Abandon everything we've built here. The colony representatives looked troubled. Not abandon, President Martinez said firmly. Take with us. Move our people, our ships, our stations, everything we can. It would be the largest migration in human history. On the main Council world, Krelox received a disturbing report. Human activity had increased dramatically across all their colonies. Ships were moving between systems at an unusual rate. What are they doing? He wondered. Ulvdrak dismissed his concerns. They prepare to surrender, obviously. The sanctions begin tomorrow. Their economy will collapse within months. Then they will accept their proper place. Krelox wasn't convinced. He had studied humans longer than any other Council member. I don't think they will surrender, Minister. Then what will they do? Fight. Die. Something else, Krelox said quietly. Something we haven't considered. The Council's sanctions hit human worlds hard. Trade stopped. Essential supplies no longer reached outer colonies. Council ships blocked space lanes used by human vessels. But humans did not give in. Admiral John Shepard stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Liberty, watching as his crew worked quickly and quietly. His job was now the most important in human history. "Status report," he ordered. "Operation Exodus is at 40%, sir," his second-in-command reported. "The inner colonies are moving people to the transport ships. The outer colonies have already loaded essential equipment." John nodded. The plan was working. Instead of giving up, humans had decided to leave Council space completely. President Martinez had announced this decision in a closed meeting 2 months ago. Since then, every human in Council space had worked toward one goal: escape. On the research station horizon, Dr. Kate Williams led the final tests of the new drive system. Unlike Council FTL drives, this one used principles discovered by human scientists. It could travel to regions beyond Council maps. "The final calculations are complete," she told her team. "We can reach the target systems with full loads." As she spoke, alarms blared. A Council enforcement vessel had appeared near the station. "They know," someone said. Kate grabbed the data cores. "Get to the evacuation ship. Now." The research team ran to their escape vessel as Council troops prepared to board the station. Captain Daniel Ross of the U.S. Defiant received their distress call and moved to intercept. "We need 10 minutes to get our people out," Kate's voice crackled over the comm. "You'll have it," Daniel promised. His small warship positioned itself between the station and the Council vessel. The Council ship was 3 times larger and heavily armed. "Human vessel, stand down immediately," came the order. Daniel ignored it. When the Council ship fired warning shots, the Defiant returned fire, targeting engines and weapons. The battle was short but fierce. The Defiant suffered heavy damage but gave the scientists time to escape. As the research vessel jumped away, Daniel looked at his burning bridge. "Get everyone to the escape pods," he ordered. The Council would capture his ship, but the essential knowledge was safe. On Earth, President Martinez met with her advisors in an underground bunker. The evacuation of Earth would be the most difficult part of the plan. "Council forces are moving toward all major human worlds," Admiral Grant reported. "They expect us to surrender." "They still don't understand what we're doing," Susan Clark said. "Their arrogance blinds them." Martinez looked at the evacuation numbers. Millions of humans were already on their way to the gathering point at the edge of known space. Billions more would follow. "What about those who don't want to leave?" someone asked. The question hung heavily in the air. Not all humans agreed with the plan. Some wanted to fight the Council. Others wanted to submit. Some simply couldn't believe humans would abandon the worlds they had worked so hard to build. "We give them the choice," Martinez said firmly. "But we make sure they understand what staying means." In his private chambers, Ulvdrak received troubling news from Krelox. "The humans are evacuating their colonies," the intelligence officer reported. "Not just people. They're taking everything. Factories, power plants, even soil samples." "Impossible," Ulvdrak said. "Where would they go? There is nowhere in Council space we cannot follow." "That's just it," Krelox said quietly. "I don't think they plan to stay in Council space." For the first time in centuries, Ulvdrak felt uncertain. No species has ever left the Council. The outer regions are unexplored, dangerous. "Humans seem willing to risk it," Krelox replied. "And they've developed new drive technology we don't understand." Ulvdrak stood and moved to the window overlooking the Council city. "Stop them," he ordered. "By any means necessary. No species defies the Council." In deep space, the first wave of human ships gathered. Thousands of vessels of all sizes formed a massive flotilla. Admiral Shepard sent a simple message to Earth. "We are ready. The path is open." The great departure began on a Tuesday. Across human space, billions of people boarded massive ships. They left behind empty cities and silent factories. Each person could bring only what they could carry. Everything else had to be left behind. Chief Engineer Mary Davis walked through the enormous Ark ship Freedom, checking systems one final time. The ship would carry 300,000 people away from Council space. 20 more ships just like it waited nearby. Will it hold? Her assistant asked nervously. Mary patted the wall. I built her myself. She'll hold. On the bridge of the Liberty, Admiral Shepard received reports from across human space. The evacuation was proceeding in waves, with outer colonies already empty and inner colonies moving quickly. Council warships are moving toward Earth, sir, his communications officer reported. Shepard nodded. They had expected this. Deploy the defense fleet. Tell Commander Price to hold them off as long as possible. Fleet Commander Alan Price and his ships formed a protective screen around Earth and the major evacuation routes. They were outnumbered, but their only job was to buy time, not win. When the Council fleet arrived, its commander sent a message to all human frequencies: return to your homes immediately. This evacuation is not authorized. Resistance will be met with force. Commander Price responded simply, we're not asking for permission. The battle began. Human ships darted between larger Council vessels, drawing fire and creating confusion. They used tactics the Council had never seen before, fighting not to win but to distract. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Paul Wilson led a small team on a different mission. Their ship, disguised as a Council transport, docked at the Council headquarters. While Council forces focused on stopping the evacuation, Paul's team infiltrated the central communications hub. 5 minutes, his tech specialist whispered as she worked on the security systems. Paul kept watch, his hand on his weapon. Their mission was simple but dangerous. Broadcast the truth to all Council species. For years, humans had gathered evidence of Council corruption and manipulation. Now, as they left, they would share it with everyone. I'm in, the specialist said. Paul plugged in the data drive. Across Council space, regular broadcasts were interrupted. On thousands of worlds, beings of all species saw proof of how the Council had manipulated economies, suppressed technology, and kept junior species dependent. On the human colony New Eden, the last evacuation ships prepared to leave. Governor Jim Baker watched as people filed aboard. Some carried children, others family treasures. All wore the same expression of determination mixed with grief. What if we never find a home as good as this one? A woman asked him, clutching her daughter's hand. Jim looked at the green fields they had spent a decade creating. We'll build something better. At the edge of Council space, the first wave of human ships activated their new drives. The Council had never seen anything like it. Instead of the familiar blue glow of standard FTL engines, these drives created a rippling purple tear in space. One by one, human ships disappeared through these portals, heading toward the unexplored regions beyond the galactic rim. On the Council homeworld, Krelox watched the broadcasts with a mixture of horror and admiration. The humans had outplayed them all. Not only were they escaping, but they had exposed the Council's secrets in the process. Grand Minister Ulvdrak raged, ordering the broadcasts shut down and all human ships destroyed. But it was too late. Many human vessels had already escaped, and the damage to the Council's reputation was done. Several frontier worlds are reporting protests. An aide told Ulvdrak, 3 have openly declared support for the humans. On Earth, President Martinez boarded the final evacuation ship. She took one last look at the blue planet that had been humanity's home for thousands of years. We'll return someday, Admiral Grant said beside her. Martinez nodded. Not as supplicants, not as junior members. We'll return as equals, or not at all. As Earth's last defenders broke away to follow the evacuation fleet, Admiral Shepard sent a final message to all remaining Council ships. We leave in peace. Follow us at your peril. 3 years had passed since the Great Departure. Humans had traveled far beyond Council space to a region they named the Haven Sector. Here, around a cluster of stars, rich with habitable planets, they built their new home. Dr. Elizabeth Hayes stood on the observation deck of Hope Station, the largest space habitat humans had ever built. Below her, the blue-green planet New Earth teemed with activity. Cities rose from empty plains. Farms spread across fertile valleys. Ships moved constantly between the surface and orbit. The latest population report, Doctor, her assistant said, handing her a tablet. Elizabeth scanned the numbers. Human population in the Haven sector had stabilized at just over 7 billion. The birth rate was rising again after the difficult first years. And the new drive tests? She asked. Complete success. The modified ships can travel twice as fast as our previous models. No Council vessel could catch them even if they found us. Elizabeth smiled. Without Council restrictions, human technology had advanced rapidly. Their medical technology now surpassed the Council's by decades. Their energy systems were cleaner and more powerful. Their ships were faster and more efficient. What news from Council space? She asked. Her assistant's expression grew serious. Our observers report growing unrest. Lieutenant Wilson's broadcast did more damage than we expected. 6 junior species have demanded reforms. 2 have threatened to leave. In the Grand Council chamber, attendance had dropped significantly. Empty seats marked where representatives of dissatisfied species once sat. Grand Minister Ulvdrak, looking noticeably aged, addressed the diminished assembly. The economic disruption caused by the human departure was temporary, he insisted. Trade routes have been reestablished. Production quotas have been adjusted. But everyone knew he was lying. The loss of human innovation and trade had hit the Council economy hard. Many goods once produced cheaply on human worlds were now expensive or unavailable. Trade routes established by humans had collapsed without their ships to maintain them. Krelox, now a senior minister, spoke next. Our scouts have extended their search pattern, but there is still no sign of where the humans went. The regions beyond the rim are vast and unexplored. They cannot survive out there alone, Ulfdrak declared. Eventually they will return, begging to be readmitted. But his voice lacked conviction. On the frontier world Azurit, a council trade delegation met with unexpected resistance. Your prices are too high, the local governor said. Humans used to sell us the same goods for half the cost. The humans are gone, the council delegate replied coldly. You have no choice but to accept our terms. The governor smiled. Actually, we do have a choice. She showed the delegate a communication device of unfamiliar design. Last month, we were contacted by human representatives. They offered fair trade without council oversight. The delegate looked stunned. Impossible. Contact with non-council species is forbidden. The humans don't care about your rules anymore, the governor said. And frankly, neither do we. In the newly established Federation of Free Worlds headquarters on New Earth, Ambassador Nicole Garcia prepared for her mission. After years of establishing their new home, humans were ready to reconnect with Council space, but on their own terms. The diplomatic vessel is ready, Ambassador, her aide reported. The Council doesn't know you're coming. Nicole nodded. Let's keep it that way until we arrive. Her ship was small but incorporated the best of human technology. It could outrun any Council vessel and carried advanced defensive systems. The Council would not be able to stop her from delivering her message. President Martinez, now in her second term leading the Federation, gave Nicole her final instructions. Offer them limited trade agreements. Make it clear we have no interest in rejoining. And most importantly, extend an invitation to any species that wishes to visit or join us. Do you think any will come? Nicole asked. Martinez looked out at the busy shipyards orbiting New Earth. I think we're about to change the galaxy, Ambassador. Again. As Nicole's ship departed, she watched the fleet of human vessels surrounding New Earth. In just 3 years, they had built more ships than they had ever owned in Council space. Each flew the new flag of the Federation, a star surrounded by linked hands of different colors. They had not just survived. They had thrived. 20 years had passed since humans left Council space. The Federation of Free Worlds had grown beyond anyone's expectations. 17 species had joined the Federation after leaving the Council. Dozens more had formed trade partnerships. President Steve Morgan stood on the balcony of the Federation Capitol on New Earth. At 65, he had been just a young officer during the Great Departure. Now he led a government that controlled nearly a quarter of the known galaxy. "Mr. President," his aide called, "the emergency meeting is starting." Steve hurried to the council chamber where Federation leaders had gathered. The images on the main screen showed council worlds under attack by strange ships of unknown design. They appeared without warning 3 days ago, Admiral Linda Carter explained. She had risen through the ranks to become the Federation's top military commander. The Council Defense Forces are being overwhelmed. "What species is attacking them?" someone asked. "We don't know," Linda replied. "They've never been seen before. They don't respond to communication attempts." Steve studied the images. "And the Council has asked for our help." Linda shook her head. "No, their pride won't allow it. But we've received distress calls from civilian populations on border worlds." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the question. Should they help the people who had once tried to control them? The people who would have stopped them from leaving if they could? "These aren't council leaders suffering," Steve said finally. "They're ordinary people. Families. Children." The vote was quick and nearly unanimous. The Federation would send aid. Admiral Carter led the relief fleet herself. 100 ships, the most advanced vessels humans had ever built, jumped into Council space near the attacked worlds. What they found shocked them. Council ships lay broken and drifting. Orbital stations burned. The alien attackers, massive vessels shaped like jagged stars, were bombarding the planets below. "All ships, engage the enemy," Linda ordered. "Protect the civilian centers." The battle was fierce but one-sided. Federation ships were faster and more powerful than anything the Council had ever built. Their weapons cut through the alien ships with ease. Their shields absorbed attacks that had destroyed Council vessels instantly. Within hours, the alien fleet retreated. Linda's ships moved to protect the damaged planets and provide aid to survivors. On the Council homeworld, Grand Minister Ulf Drak watched the reports with disbelief. The crystalline being had aged considerably, its once bright surface now dull and cracked. "Humans saved 3 of our worlds," an aide reported. "Their medical ships are treating the injured. Their engineers are repairing critical infrastructure." "Why?" Ulf Drak asked. "Why would they help us?" Krelox, now ancient even by his species standards, smiled faintly. "Because they are human. We never understood what that meant." In the following weeks, more Federation ships arrived in Council space. They brought supplies, technology, and protection against further attacks. Several Council species formally requested to join the Federation. The Council chamber, once the center of galactic power, now stood nearly empty. Most species had either joined the Federation or formed their own alliances. Only the oldest, most conservative species remained loyal to the old order. Ulf Drak called for a vote to prohibit contact with the Federation. For the first time in Council history, the motion failed. Even the remaining loyalists could see that the Council era was ending. Ambassador Nicole Garcia, now a senior diplomat, met with representatives from remaining Council worlds. "We don't seek to destroy the Council," she told them, "but the galaxy is changing. The old ways of control and hierarchy are finished. We offer partnership instead, true partnership among equals." On New Earth, President Morgan received the news that 5 more Council species had applied to join the Federation. The Coalition of Independent Systems, as it was now known, represented the majority of intelligent life in the known galaxy. "Did you ever imagine this when we left?" his wife asked him as they watched the sunset over the capital city. Steve shook his head. "We just wanted to be free. We never planned to change the galaxy." "But we did," she said, squeezing his hand. In the old council chambers, a maintenance worker removed the Grand Seal from the wall. The room would be repurposed as a museum, a reminder of how the galaxy once worked, before humans showed everyone a different way.